2 in the morning on Sunday morning, and I'm reshooting day 17. I did not send it out, and it was not good. It was a bitch fest that was just probably, I haven't watched it back, but as I was doing it, uh, I knew this was shit, but I was like so deep into it that like I felt like I couldn't stop and I needed to finish, which is funny because that does seem to kind of like typify the entire experience of the Lent Project. But but these things are ephemeral, right? They're fleeting, and then I have a good day, and I'm excited to share. And honestly, like through adversity and chaos, like comes wisdom and strength. So yeah, I was not having a great day of Saturday when I shot the video for the day of Friday. Um, but things have changed since 6 or 7 last evening. So anyway, I'm in a different space, but let me just recap Friday. Friday was productive in like an unconventional, unexpected way. Uh, it was a lot of conversations with a lot of people. I was talking to people all throughout the day. People talking about politics, talking about anything and everything, philosophy, um, but reconnecting with some people and doing, I don't know, like it was extremely cathartic in a way. It was extremely cathartic in the sense that like I got to deal with some of my own anxiety. I had to own some stuff, but like through a kind of transparency comes a sense of empowerment, which is something that like this project is about. And sometimes like in these videos, I think when I do, and when I'm like deliberately antagonistic, like when I talk about Randall Mize, like I'm doing that. I mean, I'm speaking truth. Like it's how I feel. But on the other hand, too, like uh, I have a lot of other things that I could obviously talk about, and it may seem peculiar, but like I mean, obviously Randall's just a proxy for Dallas and Plano and all of my feelings about that, right? Growing up there, you know, that whole lifestyle, and how how utterly miserable I found it to be, right? And if people are happy with it, like I'm happy for them. That's fine. It just for me, it was not something you know, and that may have less to do with the city and more to do with people closer to me and myself, obviously, more so than anyone, me. Uh, but yeah, things are just yeah. It's funny in hindsight, and I mean, like I said, what I said about Dallas still stands, and what I said about Plano certainly still stands. I believe that they're toxic. Like I think there's toxicity embedded into the DNA of you know the city of Dallas and the wannabe city of Plano. Right? It just is what it is. Um, no matter how beautiful, no matter how how like new American, uh, no matter how like upscale retail Shops of Legacy would like to think it is. You know, the inbred cousin of Highland Park Village or something. Um, yeah, I mean, all of this is true, right? And if you live in Dallas and you watch that and that upset you, it probably upset you for a reason. It probably upset you because there's a lot of truth in that. But still, like, is my role to play Punisher, right? Like, my goal here is to help myself, right? And to give like voice to what I think are some interesting ideas. And talking about Dallas in a slanderous way is not particularly interesting. It's pretty, as Dallas itself is, pretty boring. Um, but but Friday, like I did get to explore some things and confront like I was talking about when I shot that video. I had to confront some stress and some tension, and it's like, in some ways it's like when I check myself, right, where it's like I have like the courage to say this stuff because it may not be received well, but that's the whole thing, is like I should not care, right? I should simply let it go. That doesn't mean necessarily, like, just because I don't care doesn't mean I should say it, right? But it's a test. It's a test, like, for at this stage, right? Like, do you have the courage to say it, right? And I have, and Friday I had to deal with some things that were very stressful, and I stood behind myself. I owned responsibility where I was in the wrong, and ultimately, like, it brokered something real, which is just fascinating to me, uh, almost unfathomable in some ways. So yeah, you know, it was productive that way. Um, Friday night, and as far as Lent is concerned, I did not adhere to fish, right? Like I had uh, no meat throughout the day. Chinese food was apparently on the menu for dinner, and I just didn't have any like other convenient options at hand, and I opted to be lazy and not eat another salad or whatever, right? Like make myself something else. You know, friends had ordered Chinese and it was there, and it was like, well, you know, there's only little pieces of cat or dog or whatever they call beef hidden into this lo mein, so like it's mostly noodles. That was the rationale, but I mean, I was not even buying that in the moment. But Friday night, I watched a couple movies. One being um, Valerian, and Valerian. Uh, Actually, this brings something up. Valerian is a movie I thought was it had depth. I thought it was like very self aware, and like I thought it worked. I thought, yeah, tonally it was all over the map, but like I like that, right? All these critics always complain about, well, we have too many genre films and everything's cliche and everything's formula. And, you get this movie that's like adventurous and ambitious and creative. And it's like, but it's not simple enough. It's too many things. And things can be too many things. I'm not saying that they aren't. But when I watched it, it all like it worked, right? It was all seamless. It all worked together well. And um, yeah, I remember, like I've read reviews. Uh, well, I've read reviews and I've watched videos online, like Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns and Collider, and everybody had the same thing, right? Where everyone was hedging their bet, and they're like, well, I mean, I thought it was okay, I mean, it was certainly visually interesting, but it was long, and it was like the dialogue was terrible, and that really bothered me, right? Because the dialogue wasn't terrible; it was deconstructive of genre trope in a self-aware way, right? You're too dense to understand what this, frigging artist, this French director, whatever his name is, what he was doing, right? Like it was a very like fun script, and it was a fun movie, and it actually has depth, and it touches on things that like are very very controversial, that again, these idiots don't see. And that brings up the point that like I've thought about it for a long time, and I'm not interested in being a Jeremy Johns or a Chris Stuckman, right? Like I don't want to do fucking Marvel flick. uh, it was really great. Star Wars The Last Jedi was like the best movie of 2017. No, no, but I don't want to do film reviews, but I want to do film analysis. I want to do, and so I've set up another channel, and I will, if anyone is interested, I will disclose that information probably the next day or two, and I'll talk about it more then. But that's a new project that will be separate, completely separate from the Locus Folk account, because this account should be about me as a person, right? Like the Lent Project, eventually the woke cast, like other like things that are pertaining to like my day to day life. And the film thing is like, I mean, I can speak the language of cinema, right? I can read film very well, and I think that there's an audience that's like interested in more than like, Cara Delevingne was hot, but like she had no chemistry with her lead actor. Like I think people want actually maybe like there is a market for like some depth and like some insight and views that like you may disagree with, and views you may even feel like I'm totally like reading something that I want to, like I'm a victim to confirmation bias. And so they'll be provocative and thought provoking, and probably controversial. But that's something I want to do, and like that account, is again totally separate from this, and we'll just see what happens with that. But I'm kind of excited to start doing that. I think that'll be fun. This is a little bit of a chore sometimes. Um, and I also watched a documentary on Netflix called The Minimalists. I watched it with a friend that like did not take to it much. I liked it. I thought one of the guys was kind of a dope. I thought the other guy was like hyper self aware and like a pretty uh, a pretty spot on, a pretty undeniable sociopath, right? Like, uh, and it's almost like he's doing it as a troll in some ways, right? But the minimalist thing, like, it's just the idea of cutting down and like valuing what you have. It's an anti-capitalism commentary, an anti-consumerist commentary, which resonates with me in a lot of ways. Um, and I thought it was a balanced documentary too. I mean, they show someone living in like the 200 square foot utility home, where you pull out your bed and then you push it up, and then like it becomes the dining room table, and then it becomes a nightstand while it's simultaneously the bed. And I mean, every gimmick I mean, it's like a circus tent or something. I mean, it's just like it's so bizarre. And these people, but they're not advertising that, like that's not what they're pushing, right? They incorporate that into the documentary in a way that's, to be kind of critical of the hyperbolized, agenda 21, like, you have everything, so you must sacrifice and live on this, like, this either in a townhome, or if you have land, like you can have no more than like, you know what, like 400 square feet or something. Like just like this small plot of land with yeah, this I mean, I haven't seen the movie Downsizing with Matt Damon, but I'm sure it touches on the same thing. But yeah, I think that the documentary, it wasn't great, right? It was but it was strong, right? Like, and it had the anti-capitalistic commentary was really spot on, right? I mean, if you like Fight Club, you would appreciate this documentary. I mean, if you like Fight Club for more than kind of just you know, the brute masculinity, like if you understand what Tyler Durden represents, then you like this. I think I certainly did. But that was the day, and so yeah, that, that's it. It's late. It's probably about 2:15 in the morning right now, and I'm tired, and I know I'm rambling, and so we'll cut this one short. But thank you for your time. Be well.